Makadi mwasemwarisi mbapo sana zvikari pano pa TV yenyu pachivhitivhiti panenge chikupa nyaya dzinenge dzichipisa masitsi social media. Tiyari takabatira nyaya dziri kupisa masitsi social media toda kuti muzive chokwadi chiri kuitika munyika nekuti zvina zvina kumira zvakanaka zvina kugadzikana. Pane press kana kuti national press conference yakaitwa neopposition ichitaurwa nyaya yanga yakanzi agenda constitutional crossroads. Citizens response to Zimbabwe's constitution crisis. Yadaitwa muna October watapfuura 28 pakazopindira polisi ikaita zvayakaita ikamhanyisa vanhu ikaita sei. Nyaya iyoyo haisati yapera kusvikana nhasi. Neni ndiri kutoitaura panapa tiri kuzama kukuzivisai kuti nyaya haisaita sei haisati yapera. Panapa pane hurukuro yenyaya iyoyo, nyaya iri mudare izvozvi. Saka ndoda kuti munzwe dare racho richitaura nyaya iyoyo panapa. Ndichakusiyai makatirira kudare riri kutaura nyaya iyoyo izvozvi.
So they've too many loopholes to jump over. How do they do that? They go to the constitutional amendment. That's where I think that's the only way they can beat this thing. Frankly, that's my take. Just cancel out the whole section and say it's unconstitutional, delete it and rewrite it. That's the only way that they can do it. But stranger things have happened in Zimbabwe. So subsection 6, I've already done this. Then it says this section may be amended only by following the procedures set out in subsections 3, 4, 5, and 6, as if this section were contained in chapter 4. You cannot change anything in chapter 4 without a referendum. So anything to do with fundamental rights cannot be changed without a referendum. So that's why the other day, I don't know whether it was here, I was saying that MOPA and POSA is a violation of the Constitution because it attends specifically to the section. It literally limits and cancels section 59, which is part of chapter 4. Yet it says you cannot change anything in chapter 4 without a referendum. So MOPA or POSA must be placed through a referendum. So it makes them unconstitutional because they did not follow the procedure that is set by the Constitution. Anything that touches chapter 4 must be through a referendum. So originally when MOPA was put in place, I think it was POSA, it was called POSA, was put in place, it should have been through a referendum. When it was revised, is it 2021? It should also have been put through a referendum. Oh, no, I think it was revised. Is it 2023? It should have been put through a referendum as well because it touches on section 4. So it makes it unconstitutional just on those grounds. I don't know why lawyers don't eat it up. I know that it's been eaten up anyway because it's never won a case in court. These MOPA, POSA things, they always lose. That's why they have to rely on denying you bail. So you go for 5-6 months just fighting for bail, which is also a violation of the Constitution because we read that in section 84, was it? The limitations that they cannot limit your right in that way. So that's also a violation. So the continuous denial of bail is a violation of the Constitution. Oh, the judge is sick. He cannot you cannot deal with the case. You go back to prison for 3-4 months. They reschedule. Oh, something has come up. or they just keep revolving around bail. Because there's no case. If it goes to court, the arguments are simple. It's unconstitutional. They know that act is unconstitutional. So hence they want to play around. They want to continue keeping you there, whether they are beating you up, whatever they are doing to you. But anyway, enough of my ranting. Let's go back to Blackheart. You can come through. Just oh wow, 7 minutes to 4. I need to put some food in the oven. So Blackheart, you can speak through while I'm sorting out something to put in the oven. Then I need to head out. But as I said, I'll still be here speaking. Here's my Bluetooth device. Yeah, please, Blackheart. I'm gonna be a bit busy chopping some things here. I need to put some food in.
Yes, hi, Dennis. How are you?
Hey, I could be better, my friend, but we are. The Israelites said, "How can we sing a song of praise while we
Yeah,
are living in servitude?"
in a foreign land.
How can we?
Yeah,
So how can I say I'm good when I'm living in a foreign land?
yeah, man, it's one of those things. Yeah, I was listening to you, so I actually wanted you to carry on. I was just here, as a standby, just to support. But you were actually doing a good job, going through the constitution, going through the sections, which I think is a good thing. Yeah, but I would then maybe proceed and just answer the question that, let's say, would you support a path set up by the constitutional crossroads team? Yeah, my answer would be direct. Yes, I would, and I'll explain why. We have seen the birth of political parties emanating from different groups. You know, it can a political party can be birthed by by a trade union, the representative of workers. You know, it can give back to a political party. Student unions can give birth to a political party. You know, prominent people can give birth to a political party. People standing for one goal, a certain social ill. Women movements, you know, human rights movements, you know, can then graduate, turn out to be a political party. Yeah, then the only thing maybe that will be required, it will be then if they then transform and become a political party. In this case, I think it's an easy thing. We don't really need to do a whole lot of explanation. These are already political players. We have seen them before. We know them. But maybe their conduct somehow, you know, uh, if we just go back in history, you know, then maybe it might turn out to be questionable. But in this instance, what they are standing up for, you know, it is the right thing. I'll give you a small story whereby, the mouse or maybe the rat come up together, have a meeting and say, you know what? One rat came up with a good idea that, you know what? If we can just strap a bell around the cat's neck, we will then hear the cat when it is coming to attack us, you know. But then they were left with the question that amongst the rats, who is going to strap that bell around the neck of the cat. You see, so what they are doing right now, you know, probably they are legging a foot forward to be the ones who would actually go and strap the bell around the cat's neck. Because speaking of the message, yeah, we can all resonate and say, you know what, we're not going to allow the mutilation of our constitution. We're not going to allow the people to just take the hammer and think that they can any minute start panel beating the constitution. Some people may say amendments and all that, but now this is even outside the stipulation of that constitution. What is being trying to, or what these people are trying to do here. So yeah, this group at this point in time, you know, they are speaking the the language of the people, you know, and they can be peddled, they can be pushed. Maybe they are also showing that yes, they are willing and maybe they are able, they are capable. So yeah, why not? You know, we will support them. We will support them. You know, in Zimbabwe, it's been a trying era, you know, and people haven't really lost hope. People have been putting faith in anything that emerges to to be opposing the current regime. Though we also need to really learn our lessons, you know, because I think it has been desperation also, because sometimes, you know, people don't really have enough time to do a thorough, to actually scrutinize, to understand that really is it exactly the vehicle that I want to use to take me to freedom, you know. Like, you know, we've seen the rise of Geza, you know, Geza have been making a lot of remarks. People just, excited and say, yes, 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 he's the man, you know. But I mean, it led us to, it led most to the disappointment, you know. So if they come up together and prove to be the formidable force, yeah, you know, we still have a lot to also learn because they are just coming together. The hope is there. They are actually promising, you know, and the other good thing that can also make me buy into that was the reaction from the regime, which I think it was a good one for that matter. So that when we point out to say that look at this regime, you know, it will be from the point of view of actually what is true, not maybe from what has maybe happened in the past. You know, we will be speaking from a position of the current events, you know, those bombings, the petrol bombings, lighting up what is the name of the place of this guy, Ibu Manda's place, all those things, all those incidents. You know, it actually gives us a voice also and maybe a reason as well, you know. Of course, the reasons are there, you know, it might also maybe uh, eh, what can I say, boost the courage in our people, you know, and maybe also in those soldiers who are saying they want to be in the front of this struggle. So I would say the timing was right, you know, and the cause was just so right, you know. So we are left with only one thing, maybe to stand with them, you know, especially on this particular cause. But the other thing, the rest, should they then decide to transform, which has started maybe as a cause to just come and fight against the mutilation of the constitution, you know, to safeguard, to protect the constitution, which is a good thing. Then later on, maybe they will transform into a political party, maybe a formidable one, maybe a better one than the previous one, you know. We will render our support. Maybe let me speak for myself. I will personally render my support because that's what we are looking for. That's what we want, you know. Because the question now will be, yes, maybe we are fighting against the 2030, the idea of 2030, but then we will then left with 2028. You see, what if then we will win that idea of saying nobody is going to extend his term beyond 2028? Then we win that battle, but then where do we stand in 2028? You see, that's another question. So here where we are right now, it's even more of a dilemma than to think that we are just fighting one battle here. So it's not just that we are fighting against 2030. I mean 2030. You see, we will also need to know where we stand in 2028 because at this time and the position we have, it's not for us to ascertain what we are against. It's also to ascertain our position. I mean, to assert our position that what do we stand for? What are we for? You know. So we might take this fight and think we are just against the 2030 term extension, whatever. But we also need to know that where do we stand? You know, if we are clearly stating and say we are against this idea, but which idea are we for? You see, so the battle has now become bigger than what it was before. But you see, there is also a factor of time, because we need to be cognizant of the time that, prior to the idea of 2030, these people coming up with the extension of 2030, we've been crying of electoral reforms and all other things, which I think the ZANU PF right now is also saying the same, but maybe trying to use it, uh, you know, to for manipulation as a reason for them maybe to extend the presidential term limit, which will eventually turn out to be everybody else term limit, because you know how our elections are, are harmonized elections. So there's no way that we can push the idea of extending the term of one office of the president, and then the MPs and the councillors will then not benefit from the same, you see. So it's madness. But now, prior to this thing that we are fighting now, we've always wanted to 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 to, to bring reforms, electoral reforms. You know, we were talking about the capture of the judicial, the capture of all other government entities such as the police, even the military itself, and all that. We were talking around that. But then the problem in the previous years has always been that people wanted to start the fight when it's like quarter to elections. People don't do that just after the election. And ZANU PF right now it want to use the same ticket that we have had a series of disputed elections, and it's costing the country and all what they're just trying to sell that idea to just now try to avoid elections and maybe to say we need extra time. But the thing here is that we cannot ask for extra time when we haven't really used up the time that we have at hand right now, which I think to do the right thing, that time is pretty much enough. We're in 2025. The elections are only in 2028. So if we are to fix and to make everything right to avoid all these things that leads to our elections being of that nature of being disputed, contested elections and all that, we can start now. You see, so the hypocrisy of ZANU PF it is that they haven't really started now to try and rectify all those issues. They just want to say we need ample time for what when we haven't really started now. You see. So I think we should also start that talk now. Because I mean, it would be foolish from our party to think that the ZANU PF will initiate that conversation. So I mean, as a counter, you know, that should be also be tabled, placed on the table. You see, that should be also the agenda that should be pushed. like now, right now, as a counter, and that will be then stand out to be what we stand for, you know, so that we don't waste time pushing and fighting what we are against. You see. So we also need to make sure that in this struggle we hold two guns, you see, and we are fighting with both hands. Um, so yeah, in a nutshell, I would say these guys, as they are standing out, pushing the idea that they are against the 2030, and then should they choose to transform to be a political party, it's a welcome idea. It's an idea that I will support, you know. And they, the advice maybe I may give to them is that, you know, they they showed up a little bit late because they are just showing up now. We should have seen them just after the 2023 elections, you know. We should have seen more work being, we should have accomplished more, much, I mean, a lot up to now. But it's never too late. They just showed up now. But the advice I would give to them is that, you know, we really need to work with speed now because you've just showed up now. So we don't have time to sleep or slumber. We don't have that time, you see, because we are already starting from the negative. So we need to speed up so that we get to the zero and start uh, gaining stride towards the positive. So yeah, we need to see them acting. We need to constantly hear from them because the people are ready. The ground itself, because of this 2030 mantra and all that. I mean, there is conflict already. Some people are conflicted. Some people know that they don't want this. So I would say also the ground is fertile, you know. So it is the right time also, you know. So they should just come as a formidable force, proper strategies. I mean, these are individuals coming together, which we maybe never doubted that they are actually a formidable force when it comes to opposition politics in Zimbabwe. But yeah, there are other factors that people can be bought, people can be sold. We all know that. But I don't know. Apart from them, who else do we have? You see, that will be another question, you know. But as of now, I think they are the best horses that I can put my money on. Unfortunately, that they've got a history, you know, that will actually maybe conjure a lot of doubt in in our people. But yeah, as of now, it's okay because they're sincere to this idea of fighting the 2030, which I think everyone is resonating with. So yeah, I think that's all I can say for now. Dumiso, kana wapedza kuisa mavheji ako nekucheka cheka. You should be fast. I'm sure you are.
I've literally put my meat in the oven now, so I can head out. No. I appreciate that. And people, we remember we are giving our opinions here with regards to this 2030 thing. The question is.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.